Hey guys, the Explorer of Horror here, the Horror Boy. Welcome back to some more reviews. And today we're getting to the third and final movie in the Lucio Fulci Gates of Hell trilogy. And today we're going to be getting to The House by the Cemetery, which came out in 1981, gets a 6.2 on IMDb, and of course was written and directed by Lucio Fulci. Now, this movie I had literally just got done watching, and quick recap: Still Living Dead is a decent film. I have problems with it, but overall, I feel it's a decent movie. Again, I don't get the hype for it, but it is a decent film. The Beyond, I can totally get it. I can totally get the hype. It's just such a well-made movie. Great visuals, great gore, has a great pace to it. Very fast-paced movie. Overall, The Beyond is definitely my favorite of this trilogy. Still wouldn't beat Lucio Fulci's Zombie. That's my absolute favorite Fulci movie. But The Beyond is just such an amazing movie. Really enjoyed it. Now, this one, we're going to get into the plot real quick. I mean, it's basically about this family. They get sent to this house by the cemetery. And they go there because this guy has to, well, he's pretty much going to get paid a lot of money to go there and do his research. And he figures he'd make, I think he said like 6 grand, 7 grand in the year, the next year, so they can get the money and basically start living better. And they get more, he gets paid more pretty much to go there. And really enough, it's called House by the Cemetery. The cemetery doesn't really have much to do with the movie, if you think about it, but they get there and some weird things happen. They hear like footsteps and noises, and they hear this really, really weird sound of a kid crying, but there's nobody there. And basically, they start figuring out some things. Like, pretty much, there was this scientist who killed himself, and you found out that he was pretty much buried by this house. And he's this undead zombie killer who slices and dices some people and will take their, I think, their body parts or their blood or something like that, and will live forever because of him using that stuff. And unfortunately, these people are in his house that he was buried in, and basically he starts killing people off in this house. And that's basically the plot. It's a very simple sounding plot. Again, like Still Living Dead, this is probably my least favorite of this trilogy. Still Living Dead, I felt had a little bit more going for it. Like, I like the effects more in Still Living Dead. It seemed like even though Still Living Dead was a little slower, it still felt like somehow, some way, there was more going on in it than this. Like, this one, you're about 30 or 40 minutes in and nothing really happens. I mean, you don't really get anything going on besides maybe a couple of footsteps or noises here and there, and then there's no gore. And then the first gore we get is this bat, which takes like 5 stabs to kill. It's like one of the most invincible bats ever. But yeah, this one is easily my least favorite so far, possibly my least favorite Fulci movie. Again, it's not a bad movie at all. It's a pretty okay movie. I would say it's an okay film. It has things going for it, for sure. I mean, the effects, I don't think they're as good as the other movies, but they're decent effects. They're practical, at least, and when you see them, they're decent. The plot, well, I'm just getting the pause real quick. The gore is decent. The music, I think, is the strongest thing in this movie. This movie's music is great. Has a great gothic, massive feel to it. And it's really moody, and it really sets an atmosphere to the film. Also, I enjoyed the atmosphere. I just didn't think it was nearly as atmospheric as The Beyond and Still Living Dead. Like, Still Living Dead had that really dark, foggy, misty, evil feel to it. The Beyond had that mystical, you really don't know, this kind of weird, mystical, evil tone to it that I really liked. This one, it has an evil tone to it, but it's not like nearly as dark as Still Living Dead, and it doesn't feel as mysterious or mystical as The Beyond does. This one is kind of as one of those basic dark atmospheres. I liked it, but again, I thought City of the Living Dead and the Beyond did a little bit more better with that. But just by this movie's sake, I think it's a decent atmosphere. Also, I thought it was directed very well. It had some good shots in there. Um, and it's not a boring movie. It's just there's not. It's really one of those movies where there's not much going on, and it's not boring, but you would like to see a little bit more gore. There's probably only like, I don't know, 4 gore scenes in this entire film, and most of it's towards the end. And apparently, from what I've heard, Fulci basically wanted to make his own version of the Shining, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that how it's different. I appreciate his approach to that. But the reason why The Shining works with that is because the characters, the acting, the atmosphere, the direction. I think it's just you've got to be able, and you got to have that, energy to it. You got to have that story to it, that setting, and this movie nails some of that. Like the setting is pretty cool. It's not a boring movie at all, but in The Shining, I cared for the characters in that. I cared for the acting here, and it's not. You're not meant to go into a Fulci movie and expect grade A acting, but the characters I felt were a little weak. Like the lead chick, I thought did great. I think it's Katrina McCall, and I believe she was in City of the Living Dead and the Beyond as well. I think she's the leads from those movies as well. And I thought she did decent in City of the Living Dead. The Beyond is definitely my favorite performance by her. This movie, once again, she's decent, but besides her, the husband character I didn't care for. All the supporting characters I didn't really get into. And especially the kid actors, dude. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. And part of me doesn't want to say this because I don't want to blame the dubbing. But there's bad dubbing, then there is just unacceptably bad dubbing. And I know people are like, well, if you watch the sub version, it's not like that. I understand that. But even if you minimize that, it's still in the story. I don't really like the story that much. It's just kind of basic, to be honest. I mean, I've seen movies like this before, where an evil scientist conducting experiments, he somehow finds some way to make himself immortal and mutate himself. And you've seen it before. I mean, hell, I had to bring it up, but Leprechaun 4 kind of did that, where the evil science... Well, really, I can't say that because it happened to him in that movie. Like, he didn't mean for it to happen. So I really can't say that. But I've seen movies before where an evil scientist is doing experiments and makes himself immortal and is doing all that stuff. I've seen it before. And it just felt weird. I didn't really get into it. And it's not engaging either. It's not a very engaging plot. And, so you have that. And also the way he looks, like he has this weird kind of stitched together, just a weird look. I don't know if I like that look or not. I mean, I wouldn't say I hate it, but he has this look to him. And the makeup, I don't know about it. I don't know if I like that look or not. I don't know. But it's just not very engaging. And plus, I don't understand this is considered to be a Gates of Hell movie. There's no Gates of Hell in this movie at all. It's basically about a guy who is using these body parts and blood and stuff to keep himself alive. And he's immortal and he's killing people. And that's basically it. And the cemetery literally has nothing to do with the plot. I mean, maybe in some little old dialogue that I missed, maybe it was, but I don't remember anything. So what I was thinking was zombies coming out of the graves, attacking people in the house. Very basic, but you know, it's different. Like I appreciate it's different, but there's there's good different and there's the different that I can't get into. I just really can't get into that plot. Again, it's just something that I've heard before, I've seen before. And in this movie, they don't really build on it that much. It's just kind of like, oh, we put that in there. There you go. It's like, oh, okay. I guess this immoral doctor guy is running things. But it's like, it's just, I don't know. I don't know. And as you can tell, we're in the problems part of the video right now. Like I said, dude, the acting is just the voice acting. I don't want to blame it, but it's just horrible, man, horrible. Especially the kid actor Bob, which who calls their kid Bob? Who the fuck does that? Oh, Bob. Why not Bobby? That sounds a little better, Bobby. But this Bob kid is just annoying, and he has this girl who is, I think maybe, I don't know if they were going for maybe she was a ghost or something because she dresses all in this old school clothes. And they do a shot in this movie of a grave. And you see there's this person on there. And they make it a shocking scene. So is she a ghost? I don't know. I think she's a ghost. Her acting as well. That's the thing too. Really the dubbing isn't too bad from everybody else except for the kid actors, unfortunately. Their acting is atrocious. And it depletes tension. And something that I forgot to mention in the City of Living Dead review is that Fulci can do these great scenes and sell them most of the time. But sometimes he'll do these scenes and the reaction of the characters kill the scenes. Oh my god, it's so horrifying. Oh my god, that kills the scene. You don't really need to have them doing that. I like how in Zombie, the girl doesn't really go, oh my god, oh, and screams. She just stares and like that look on her face, like of fear, like, oh my god, you know, and she's not saying anything, but she just, you know, like, look at the zombie, like, she's terrified, you know, it's not overdone, you know, but in Sid Living Dead, when the glass goes to the window and goes into the wall and the wall starts bleeding, the chick's like, oh my god, it's blood, it's blood, and I'm just like, well, when you do that, you're overselling it a little bit. And it also happens, I don't remember it happened beyond that much, but in this movie there's a couple scenes where it happens, and you're like, alright, you know, there's a scene where a girl by the door, and her reaction is just, I don't know, because she's locked in the basement, and this guy's come out with a knife, and the kid is not even caring, he's like, we gotta go help her. But he doesn't even go help her. He takes like 5 hours to get his little toy gun and stuff, and then he finally goes down there and she's dead. So I'm like, great kid, you got that girl killed because you didn't move fast enough to help her. She got her head cut off. And then the reaction from her is just the acting, you know, and I don't know. Certain scenes I liked, like the ending where they stab the zombie guy. It's just maggots that come out of him. And the kid has to get out of the house. Decent scene. I will say, though, it has some good things to it. Like, I like the effects when they're there. It's just when you're 40 minutes in and you ain't got the acting and the story and the atmosphere. Like, it has a decent atmosphere, but not to rely on like that, you know? When you have no good characters I care about, or story, or atmosphere, or anything else to clinch onto, you run into the problem of being just a ship on dead water. You're not moving very far. And you got to be able to put gore, put characters, put comedy, put something in it to fill that dead air. Because most of the movie is just, like the first 40 minutes, nothing really happens. Just a spooky, you know, ghost noise or... And I won't lie, the idea of this zombie doctor crying like a little kid is creepy. I won't lie. Excuse me. It is a creepy idea. And I like that idea. I do. But when it's the end of the movie where they're trying to kill the doctor guy, and he's doing that crying still, and you loop it over people screaming and other people crying, it just like at that point it kind of got a little rocky for me. But yeah, man, I mean, I do think the movie is okay. It's my least favorite one. It has a lot of problems for me, but I don't hate it, and it won't get a rant. It's not a rant, even though it may sound like I'm doing a rant. I'm not. It's not a movie that I hate at all. It's just a movie that, you know, going into it, I was very excited and intrigued to see it, and I don't know. It's an okay movie, but I don't think it's nearly as good as some of the other ones I've seen, like The Beyond and Zombie. And out of all the Italian films, I'd say I like Suspiria more. I liked even Say Living Dead a little bit more than this, and The Beyond and Zombie, and Cannibal Holocaust. And I've seen plenty of Italian movies, but this is definitely a decent horror film that I think still has good stuff to it. Again, the atmosphere is still very, very nailed. The score is my favorite part. I love the main theme of this movie. I love the poster for this movie. I love the still having gore and practicality to it. You have some cool death scenes, like a girl being stabbed by a spike thing, and then it gets stabbed right into her face. It's bloody. I like the scene where the dude literally gets his throat ripped out. It's just such a crazy scene. Or a scene where the chick gets her throat cut over and over and over again until her head falls off. That was a good death scene. So yeah, it has some good stuff to it. Again, the atmosphere and direction is still very well nailed. It's just it has problems, but overall it's a decent film. But yeah, this is my review for House by the Cemetery. Hope you guys enjoyed the review. Let me know your guys' thoughts on this movie in the comments below. Do you like it? Do you not like it? I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. This one is not as good. It definitely isn't a bad movie at all. I would recommend checking it out. Like I said, 5 out of 10 for me. How would you guys rate it? Let me know in the comments below. Explorer of Horror here, checking out. I'll be seeing you guys later. Bye, guys. See you later. Have a good night.